Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dan Live. We are live and in person today. We have a lot of news to get to today. First of all, I'm Dan Murrell. My partner
Are you
Mara is
sure?
also here. I'm pretty sure I'm Dan Murrell.
I don't know. I
I'm
feel like
def.
Coco Melon got you.
I know, right? Well, I don't know what you're talking about. I've never heard of Coco Melon. I'll have to check into that. I know that you're definitely Mara Canopic, though.
Probably.
My partner in crime. Mara will be checking the chats as they come in. If you would like to have your question asked here on the show, then you can send in a $5 Streamlab and we will ask your question here. And I've already seen some questions about it with Streamlabs, etc. I'm looking into it. Part of it is I can't just, change the whole platform for the show, etc. But I know some people said, like, oh, I was reading this about Streamlab. I'm trying to get up to speed on it myself. So, just noted at the top, understood. But for this week, at least, we'll continue going the way that we have. So the address is over in the chat. If you want to send in a question via Streamlabs, we'd love to ask your question here on the show. We also have a lot of news to get to, believe it or not. I love that there's actual
Been a
movie
big
news
week.
coming out again. It's great. It has been a big week. I mean, we did a whole show about the Spider-Man. We did 2 shows yesterday, and we still have a show full of news. There was the new Spider-Man No Way Home trailer yesterday. If you haven't seen my breakdown of that, you can check that out on the channel after the show, though, because that's a pre-taped show. It'll still be there when the show's over. I mean, I guess the show will be, too. But we also had a Ghostbusters Afterlife review that came out yesterday. Spoiler alert, I really, really liked the movie. Mara, I know you did, too, right?
Oh, yes, I did. Very,
Yeah.
very much. I actually was just looking. One of our theaters has an early access screening tonight, and I was like, do we go again?
Do we go? Do we see it again? I definitely want to see it again.
Oh, I
But
know.
that
But I mean, do we want to go tonight? Because I kind of want to.
We'll see. We'll check it out. But that's all stuff that happened before this show. So lots to get to. Before we do, though, I want to thank today's sponsor. And today's sponsor is Raycon. These are the earbuds that I'm wearing right now. Raycon wireless earbuds. Right now, for viewers and listeners of the show, you can go to raycon.com/Murrell, Murrell, to unlock exclusive deals up to 20% off your Raycon order. But this offer is only available for a limited time, and you don't want to miss it. That's B-U-Y, Raycon, RAYCON.com/Murrell, Murrell, to unlock up to 20% off your Raycon order. Buyraycon.com/Murrell. And we're going to talk a little bit more about Raycon later in the show. So if you want to know more about Raycon, don't worry, we got you covered. But first, let's move into our top story. And this is the gift that keeps on giving. I mean, Christmas came early for me this year. Hanukkah's coming early for Mara this year anyway.
It's true.
Just the way the schedule lands. But MoviePass, every time we think we're out, it pulls us back in.
Ooh, I get that reference
Somehow,
now.
somehow MoviePass has turned. The dead speak. Stacy Spikes, who was one of the original co-founders of MoviePass, has bought it back with plans to relaunch the service in 2022. Last year, if you recall, this has been better than any soap opera that I've ever seen. Last year, Helios and Matheson Analytics, who bought MoviePass and drove it into the ground, they went bankrupt. They had a bankruptcy sale. There were no bids entered for MoviePass at the time because I think they set like a $250,000 price for the company. Nobody bid on it, so it was just sitting there in all of these assets to be bid upon. Stacy Spikes actually co-founded the company back in 2011. In 2017, Helios and Matheson bought the company, said that you could pay $10 a month to go to as many movies as you want every single month. Mara and I did it. We saw like 20 movies a month. We actively contributed to MoviePass going bankrupt.
Oh,
Spikes
yeah,
was
we did.
fired from the company. 2018, he claims because he went to the higher ups at Helios and Matheson and said, hey, I think maybe that you're going to drive us out of business. And they said, that's great, you're fired. So he co-founds the company, sells it, is fired from the company, and now has bought it back and plans to relaunch it next year. This is a quote from Spikes. He said, I can confirm that we acquired MoviePass out of bankruptcy. We are thrilled to have it back and are exploring the possibility of relaunching soon. Our pursuit to reclaim the brand was encouraged by the continued interest from the movie-going community. We believe if done properly, theatrical subscription can play an instrumental role in lifting movie-going attendance to new heights. MoviePass has not yet been launched. However, they have launched a site called iwantmoviepass.com so that you can be notified when MoviePass relaunches. And if you think that I have not put my email address into that site, you are sorely mistaken because with Chloe, the director of marketing, I think she moved on to Google or Alphabet. So they need all the marketing help that they can get. So yeah, MoviePass apparently in line potentially to relaunch next year. My question though, how? Because all of the chains have launched their own. The big chains have launched their own version. AMC A-List, which we have. Cinemark has one, which we have. Regal has one, which we don't have. I like that. I like that they want to relaunch MoviePass. But again, the service was struggling because before Helios and Matheson bought them because they couldn't figure out how to make it economically viable. Now you're in a much more competitive marketplace against actual competition, which you didn't have before. I respect that Stacy Spikes wants to come back and launch this company, but I'm kind of baffled as to how this could even work. How could MoviePass return?
Here's the thing. If they had done it right the first time, if they had aggregated their data and created a viable business plan by which they could entice the customer to use their service, to gather and aggregate that data to sell to studios and even to theaters, because there's possibly ways that even theaters themselves could change how they market themselves to their consumers. Like, that could have been genius. They could have been the first one there. They could have been the established one. AMC could have tried and maybe people would have done it. But I know if you and I had MoviePass and it was, even if it had been, it's a bargain at twice the price, like honestly, it's still even a bargain at 3 times the price, especially living in LA when we were abusing MoviePass to the nth degree.
We were using MoviePass to the exact specifications that
No, that's true. We didn't do anything wrong, but I mean, they could have not just been a disruptor in the sense that, yeah, for a period, they were really changing things, but only to the point where they inspired everyone else to do it the right way and the better way. So, I mean, I guess they did what they wanted because they disrupted the marketplace. They just failed miserably at, cultivating a profitable business. Yeah.
Well, and that's the other thing is they said they were going to be a data company and they were going to gather all this data. One thing I did not mention, however, in the sale price for MoviePass does not include customer information, does not include data. So in this purchase of MoviePass, it's not even like they're not getting the previous customer's data or information or anything like that. They literally are just buying the name MoviePass. None of the other stuff was included, according to what I was reading. So they're basically starting over from zero. I mean, that's the thing. Like, Stacy Spikes co-founds this company, sells it, it goes out of business, and now almost over a decade later, he's restarting the business essentially where he started 10 years ago. It's something, but I want to be talking about MoviePass when I'm 70. I want them to still be trying this in like 2051. That would be amazing. Just let's keep this going. Let it get bought again and sold again, go out of business again, then get bought by like Google, then Google goes out of business, and then MoviePass like becomes Google, and then that goes. I want this to go on forever because this is such a saga. I've got my MoviePass card somewhere. We have it, right?
We do. They're in the attic, yeah. I'm pretty sure. Or no, they're in the fire safe. We wanted to make sure that we keep them forever.
That's right. Just in case there was some shenanigans, we wanted to make sure that our MoviePass cards were. We should frame it. You know what? Why don't we?
I can definitely do that.
It's not like people can use that card number. We could barely use it when we had it. So we should frame it and just put it on the set and just have my MoviePass hanging up there. Remind me to do that.
I can make that happen. I need to go through the fire safe anyway.
Yeah. We should definitely do that.
I like craft projects.
She's great at craft projects too. Before we move on, we have a couple questions already. Mystery Me, hey Mystery, how are you? Says, even in the indie sector, MoviePass will have competition with the likes of MubiGo, MUBIGO, which is something I'm not even familiar with, because we had 2 before A-List and everything. We had MoviePass and we had the what was the other one that would let us go to the ArcLight? Oh man. You remember, right?
What was it?
It was like twice the price, but we could go to the ArcLight.
It was Cine something, right?
Cine something, but like you had to like send a picture of yourself to sign up for it.
Yeah,
somebody's gonna remember.
Someone knows.
Cinemia. Thank you, Jeff.
Cinemia, thank you.
Cinemia. We had Cinemia, and then we had MoviePass. Both have since gone out of business, but we liked Cinemia because we could actually go to the ArcLight. We could not with MoviePass. I don't know MovieGo, but that's the thing is like MoviePass, like they struggled in a market with no competition, and now everybody's competing. That's tough. That's a tough phrase. Payton says, did you get a chance to see Tick, Tick, Boom yet? I'm excited for it. I did not get a chance to see Tick, Tick, Boom. I will say, though, I want to give Netflix a lot of credit because, I mean, Mara and I have talked about The fact that we have to drive, we drove to Dallas to see Ghostbusters, which is 4.5 hours away. That's our second
One
trip
way.
we made this month. One way. Yeah, one way. That's the second trip we made to Dallas this month because that's really our closest access to a lot of these movies. Netflix has been so great about scheduling screenings in smaller markets, and they are the studio that I've been able to consistently get screenings for. I don't think they did one for Tick Tick Boom here, but they've done one for just about every other Netflix movie. I really have to doff my cap metaphorically to Netflix because they really are committed to making sure that critics have access to their movies in smaller markets. But I did not see Tick Tick Boom yet. I will be checking it out. I think it hits the service. Is it this week or next? It hits the service pretty soon. If nothing else, I'm going to see it because I like musicals. I like musicals, and I like Rent. So I'm going to check that out. But no, I haven't had a chance to see it. Dr. Nova says, what was MoviePass's plan and how do theaters make money through their subscriptions? Everybody knew it would burn to the ground. Okay, well, I mean, yeah, a brief refresher on what MoviePass's plan was. Their idea was they were going to lose money at first. They were going to lose lots of money. But they were going to get people so addicted to the service that they could then go to the theaters and say, people love MoviePass so much that if you don't give us a cut of your concessions money, then we are going to say that people can't use MoviePass at your theaters anymore, and you're going to lose all that business. And the theaters would just hold their hands up and say, oh my God, I'm so sorry, you're right. Here's a cut of our most lucrative part of the business. And MoviePass would sit and count their money like Scrooge McDuck, and they would be billionaires. The problem was the movie theaters said, no, we're not doing that. We'll just stop taking MoviePass and start our own version of it. And that's what happened. The end. So yeah.
Well, there was also the data gathering aspect as well.
Right. Yeah, well, that was the other thing. Yeah, they were going to gather a bunch of data and then sell that data, which a lot of people who subscribed were like, oh, that's wonderful. I love that idea. Yeah, none of their plans worked. But that was their plan to make money, was to basically blackmail theaters into giving them a cut of their concessions, and that's how they'd make money. And then also to make wonderful movies like Gotti that they would put out in theaters and then get the theatrical cuts from, which
we need to rewatch that.
Yeah, they did make American Animals though, where they helped to distribute it, which is actually a pretty good movie.
Agreed.
How do theaters make money through their subscriptions? Well, I mean, first of all, there's sort of the non-active part, which is that some of the profit from these subscriptions goes from people that there's an assumed base that are going to pay you X amount of money a month and not go to the movie, which happens. But I think with theaters, the thing that makes sense was theaters like AMC, when you go to their theater using A-List, you're probably going to still buy concessions, and that's their most lucrative part of the whole thing for them. So they make money. That's pure profit, other than, what they have to pay for materials, which is pennies on the dollar. That's how they really make money, is it basically gets you into their theater, and then you buy a popcorn and a Coke or whatever, and they make money that way, and then some money for people that just don't use it. So that's how theaters use money, or that's how they get their money, through their subscription service, which makes sense. Like, basically MoviePass was paying the theater, like you were buying, MoviePass was essentially buying your ticket for you, and they weren't getting anything back from that at all. They were just buying your ticket for you. And their thing was like, but we're going to make money later. They did not. Yes, I agree. When I was covering this on Screen Junkie, here's how long MoviePass has been going on. It's crossed 3 different companies. It started when I was working at Defy, I think, and then Fandom, and now on my own. So I'm on my 3rd different channel name, from Screen Junkies News to Fandom Entertainment to my personal channel. We're still tracking MoviePass, but way back when we started talking, I've always said I thought it was the most brilliant idea ever, or it was going to be a complete catastrophe, and it ended up being a complete catastrophe. But also the most brilliant idea ever. It was both. Joey says, thank you, Joey. Hi, and congrats on 100K, guys. I was wondering, since you liked Free Solo, have you had a chance to catch the filmmaker's new doc, The Rescue, yet? I have not. I desperately want to see it. It hasn't been playing in any theaters around here. It's been a very limited run. And I'm wondering why, because I see it overlooked on a lot of the lists I'm getting for documentaries at the end of the year, and Free Solo was so great. I'm desperate to see The Rescue.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that they expand that very soon. Ace Wingate says, is a King Richard review coming? The end credit song has been in my head since I caught a screening weeks ago. I'm definitely going to be, we're going to see it this weekend. I think it's at the top of our list because we saw the Ghostbusters already, and King Richard is the other one. So yeah, I'm actually going to start packaging a lot of reviews together as sort of awards watch reviews. So at the very least, I'm putting a King Richard review in there, if not on its own. Chloe, the director of marketing, hey, says, we are going to bow wow you with our prices this time. Okay, we have an exclusive here. It seems that MoviePass has rehired Chloe, the director of marketing. So this is I'm going to count this as an official MoviePass statement. We are going to bow wow you with our prices this time. If you think we're not here to stay, you're barking up the wrong tree. We will have fresh new ideas for you. Those theater chains won't be able to collar you with their prices anymore. Wow.
A+.
Hasn't missed a step. Good job. Chloe, the director
what
of marketing.
A good
Thank
girl.
You.
She's such a good girl.
Who's a good girl? You are. You're a good director of marketing. Yes, you are. And then finally, for this break, Payton says, idea for a video. Since you like Rent, you should do a video on adapting from stage to screen and use the filmed final performances in 2005 film. That's actually a great video essay idea because sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. You know, The Producers is one that I don't think really worked, but it was a brilliant live show on stage. So I like that idea. I think it would be, the tough part would be tracking down people who, or recordings of the Broadway show if I haven't seen them. But that's a great idea. I like that idea. So let's move on to our next story. And talking about strategy, this is one of the most brilliant strategies I've ever heard. Kathleen Kennedy, who's the head of Lucasfilm, it was recently revealed that her contract has been renewed for 3 more years, which means that Disney is continuing to play the long game in their inevitable firing of her for gross incompetence by extending her contract for another 3 years. I guess they really want to embarrass her when they inevitably fire her because, I'm not plugged into the main line always, but all I've been hearing is that she is going to be fired. I mean, I've heard that there were secret meetings in basements. I've heard that, it was going to happen any day now. Her contract was up. This whole Patty Jenkins thing, there were some delays for Rogue Squadron, apparently due to creative differences. I've heard for years now that she's about to be fired. And I guess Disney, they just really want to make it sting when it happens because she's been extended for another 3 years. This was released. Former Hollywood Reporter editor Matthew Bologna broke the news in his industry newsletter. Despite expert analysis from spare bedrooms like this one across the country that had predicted Kennedy's inevitable ouster on the heels of Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron being delayed. On the plus side, a lot of channels just got 3 years of new videos predicting that Kathleen Kennedy is going to be fired. I did an informal count. This is not a joke. I just did an informal count of one particular channel here on the internet. They have done 25 videos this year about Kathleen Kennedy. Just this year. So really, I don't know why so many people were rooting for Kathleen Kennedy to get the axe because that is a huge income stream that would be gone if she were actually fired because there's a cottage industry of Brie Larson and Kathleen Kennedy to be... there's a cottage issue of Brie Larson and Kathleen Kennedy videos to be had. And if they both were gone, I mean, what would some of these channels do? Like, what would they talk about? I don't know. Hannah, are you happy? Are you happy that Kathleen Kennedy is hanging around?
Oh, I hate all women. I'm furious. I'm joking.
Furious?
I'm joking. I'm sorry. I'm joking. It's a joke.
Yeah. I mean, it's, there's a whole thing we could go into. It's I get it. No, to say that her tenure at Lucasfilm has been stress-free or problem-free, I think would be very much a not the truth because there have been some pretty rocky times there. But I the fact that it all goes back to Kathleen Kennedy and yet it never really gets chalked up to anybody else. Nobody else bears any responsibility except for Kathleen Kennedy. I don't. They're not looking at Bob Iger. I didn't see anybody say that.
It's just so funny though, because out of all the women behind the scenes of like major franchises or like major creative projects, she's the only one that gets any attention, and it's all hate. Like we were talking about, for example, like with Halloween, like there's more franchises too as examples, but just like the idea that the primary focus is on like whether it was conscious or unconscious of like the main male head of a creative project and ignoring the contributions that helped shape it from females as well. And it's funny though that Kathleen Kennedy gets all this attention. Yeah. And except it's all about how much she's the absolute worst. So it's just kind of, it's funny, I guess, that, you know, the only way that you can be how can you win possibly ever if you're Kathleen Kennedy at this point? Like in the eyes of those kinds of people, you can't win.
No, you can't, because it's like Kathleen Kennedy ruined the new trilogy. Jon Favreau made the best thing ever with The Mandalorian. Well, you know, I hate to tell you, but there was the same executive in charge of both projects. And like I said, the new trilogy I know.
What?
The new trilogy, not very well handled. I agree. Like, yes, at the top, but also at the director level, at the screenwriter level. Like, I have big problems with how they handled the new trilogy, but I'm not going to keep it all on one person. And anyway, just like I said, Disney playing the long game. They really want to make it sting when they do finally fire her for gross incompetence, as has been predicted for over 5 years now. So there you go. That's going on over at Disney. Let's talk about Andrew Garfield. I mentioned yesterday.
I always want to talk about him.
I know, right? He seems like a nice guy. That's why I feel so bad for him. We mentioned yesterday that there was a new Spider-Man No Way Home trailer. I say in the video, and Mara shared this sentiment, that I did not want the big reveal in this trailer, and I'm glad that they did not make it. The only thing that makes me sad about it is that Andrew Garfield, he's had 3 movies come out this year. And he's had 3 movies working with like big directors. Gia Coppola did a movie called Mainstream. Michael Showalter, he did The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which he was great in. Right now he's promoting Tick, Tick, Boom from Lin-Manuel Miranda. These are movies that he is starring in. These are movies that are in awards consideration. This also means that in the last year, this is his 3rd round of publicity where he's had to sit through questions about that everyone knows he cannot and will not answer about whether or not he's in Spider-Man No Way Home. And he's still on the hook for this, and I feel bad for him. We played clips of this before, but there was another one that happened, I think just yesterday, while he's trying to promote Tick, Tick, Boom, that once again, and just watch him. Just watch it.
We do have to ask you about Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's saying,
we have to.
Everybody's saying you may be in it. There's a cameo. Why don't you just go ahead and confirm?
Go ahead.
if I just make it easy. Let's just end it.
I'm not in the film. I love Spider-Man. I always have. I was so happy to have played the part. And I'm so excited to see what they do with the 3rd one, just like you guys are, to be honest. Okay. No, that's not like a diplomatic answer.
Yeah.
Leave this guy. Leave him alone. Look at this face. This is the face of a man who's
adorable.
Like, I want to kill you right now. I don't blame him. I was like, we have to ask about Spider-Man No Way. No, you don't. You don't have to ask about Spider-Man No Way Home. Do you know why? Because 5,800 other people before you have asked about Spider-Man No Way Home, and he said that he is not in the movie. And then they push and say, you don't have to ask about Spider-Man No Way Home. You can say, you were great in Tick, Tick, Boom. Hey, Andrew, thanks for coming on the show. You can catch Tick, Tick, Boom on Netflix or in theaters, blah, blah, blah. But no, like your producer says that you have to ask about Spider-Man No Way Home for this exact reason. So you can put like the YouTube clip that was from. It doesn't, the leading thing isn't Andrew Garfield talks about Tick, Tick, Boom. It's Andrew Garfield addresses Spider-Man rumors because they know that that's going to get clicks. And it's just like, leave the guy alone. He's not going to give you an answer. He wasn't going to give you an answer 4 months ago when you were asking him about it, or 6 months ago, or 8 months ago. He's not going to give you an answer tomorrow or next week. Stop it. Let him promote something else. Leave the guy alone. It's like I was talking about on the Spider-Man video yesterday before this new trailer launched. Sony put out a video for A Journal for Jordan, which is directed by Denzel Washington. It stars Michael B. Jordan. It's an award show, movie. Like they're trying to push for it. And you go down to the comments and it's all like, what's this? Where's my Spider-Man trailer? It's like, can you let people do more than one thing? Like people have lives and jobs and things that don't revolve around how many Spider-Men are going to be in a movie. So leave them alone. Can you leave the guy alone?
I would also like to air my grievances with this because I mentioned this in a much more angry and colorful way on the bracket show last week. So if you'd like to tune out for 45 seconds, if you already heard it, that's fine. generally speaking, yes, there are outliers. I myself am an outlier. I don't have an extremely unfavorable view of the Amazing Spider-Man films. But generally speaking, most people think that those are the weakest Spider-Man movies ever made. Like, weakest Spider-Man property of any kind ever made. And that's okay. People can totally think that. It's fine, even though I don't share that hate for it. If people hate it so much, why are they so freaking excited that he's going to be in this movie? Like, this is the absolute, like, 180-degree bandwagon syndrome. Oh my God, there's going to be all the people I know from The Thing and the other things syndrome. Like, why do you care? Why do you care? If a year ago or 18 months ago, if I asked you about Amazing Spider-Man and you were like, piece of garbage, don't like it, or like, oh, I'd never watch it again, or oh,
Andrew
any
Garfield
other Spider-Man
was the worst
but
Spider-Man.
him. Then why do you care? Why do you care if he's in the movie? If he sucked apparently at being Spider-Man or being Peter Parker, why do you care?
You're right. No, that's hilarious.
I care, and you know what? I don't want to know anyway. I don't even want to know. I want to go in and enjoy the thing they're going to give me for what it is, instead of just having it like, if I'm going to go to some sort of really special occasion, something really important, I don't want to have like the itinerary of every single thing that's going to happen. Like, okay, Dan, at some point, we're going to betroth ourselves to one another in some way. I would not like a script of exactly what you're going to say, exactly what you're going to do, and exactly how it's going to go down, and exactly how I should respond and feel before it happens. I'd like to just be in the moment, and just let it happen and be surprised and enjoy it. Yeah.
Let it happen. We've already snooped and scooped and dug our way out of the surprise, more than likely. So can we just allow people to preserve the small amount of suspense that might be left? Leave Andrew Garfield alone, for God's sakes. Let the man carry on with his life. And then when Spider-Man comes out, if he's in it, you can ask him all the Spider-Man questions in the world. You can go delete all of your comments that you made when they brought on Tom Holland about how much he sucked, and talk about how much you can't wait to see him and how great he was and how great the movies were. I'm not saying everybody who thinks his movies were great are that way, but there are way more fans of Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man than there were a year ago, as Mara said. I'm just saying. So,
well, and also,
leave
honestly,
the man alone.
At this point, even though I like how he portrayed the character, I liked where he wanted to go with the character, which is part of why he never got another movie. Look that up. I honestly hope he's not in this movie, because I would love it if after it comes out, he can be like, I told you. You didn't believe me. I told you. I kind of don't want him to be in it now. Just for the fact
I
that
want
he
him
can say
to.
that.
I want him to have been saying, "I'm not the werewolf" for 8 months, and then at the end to be like, "I see, I'm not in the freaking thing. I tried to tell you." It's Anyway, well, if you like that Dan stance, we actually had a second edition of a Dan stance. This is actually news that came in today, and again, it just kind of goes to the state of journalism. In general, and movie journalism as well, because there is a movie coming out. It's a big Oscar hopeful. It's called The Power of the Dog. It stars Benedict Cumberbatch. It is directed by Jane Campion. Jane Campion is a wonderful director. She is an Oscar winner for Best Original Screenplay. She directed The Piano, which won a Best Supporting Actress award. It was nominated for Best Picture. She is perhaps in line for a few more Oscar nominations this year. She's been doing the circuit, doing the rounds for Power of the Dog, and Variety got a chance to talk to her. And what did they ask her? They asked her if she wanted to direct a superhero movie. And of course she said, I hate them. I actually hate them. I think it's safe to say that I will never do that. They're so noisy and like ridiculous. Sometimes you get a good giggle, but I don't know what the thing is with the capes, a grown man in tights. I feel like it must come from pantomime. So, you have a talk, you're able to talk to an Oscar and Emmy nominee, an Oscar winner, he's got an Oscar contender, and this is the question you ask, because that's again, we're talking about it, so congratulations. I'm happy that you were able to do it. But like that you're a professional journalist. You get access to stars and directors and people that movie fans would dream of. Like, do you know how many movie fans, people that love movies, would die to be able to ask Jane Campion one question about any of her films or anything that she did? I mean, she's an Oscar winner, perhaps another future Oscar winner. And you ask the same dumb, lazy, tired question that you asked Martin Scorsese and Denis Villeneuve and so many other directors, because you know what answer you're going to get. And because of course Jane Campion doesn't want to direct a superhero movie. I don't want her to. Not every director's dream is to, direct Chris Hemsworth on a green screen. Some people want to make other types of movies. And I love that.
No, other people want to direct Chris Pine on a green screen.
Yes, that's true. Some people do want to direct Chris Pratt on a green screen, and that should win an Oscar. But Ben, if you want to throw up that article again, my favorite is the all caps thing where it says, Jane Campion will never direct a superhero movie. I hate them. Exclusive. Do you know why it's an exclusive? Because it's such a dumb question that the 500 people that talked to her before you did had the dignity not to ask it.
Yep.
You know, I mean, I'm sorry. I know I'm a little salty about this, but it's like this is why people just tune out all movie media, because all you're doing, the worst thing that ever happened to media of any kind was when you started judging success by clicks and not the content of your article or the quality of the reporting. When it just became about how many times did people click a mouse button. I'm telling you, the whole freaking ship is going to go down because of this. Because now, instead of actually having a great conversation with Jane Campion, you're asking her, say, would you like to direct a superhero movie? I know what your answer is going to be, but I want to put it on my site and say it's an exclusive. And yeah, people are going to talk about it because congratulations, you asked the lowest. It's below the lowest common denominator. Looks at that question and says, "Wow, that is low." Like that is such a stupid, dumb question to ask, and yet you win. You win because here we are talking about it. Maybe I shouldn't have even brought it up. Maybe I'm feeding into the whole thing. I am. I'm actually feeding into the process. I should have just ignored it, but it just makes me so angry. It's the last time I'll bring this up, I promise.
Just try to. I know a lot of people are like, oh, they're only, like, people only say that because it gets them a lot of attention and it gets them talking about the fact that they don't want to do this. Let's just provide a different example. Let's just say you think the end all be all of something that could be really awesome to work on could be to work on a superhero movie, to make a superhero movie. Well, let's just look at something like, let's just say modeling, like being, oh my God, what happened?
I bumped the camera. That's number one.
I was like, how is there's no cats in there. That's why I was worried. I thought the ghost was in there. Modeling. A lot of people, men or women or anywhere in between, might want to be a model. That could be something that is aspired to by a lot of people. Like, you get to be famous, you get to be rich, you get to have people pamper you all the time, you get to have trainers and chefs and, you know, all this stuff. It could be really glamorous to a lot of people. But you know what? I would never, ever want to do that because you have to sacrifice every ounce of individuality with how you look, just as an example. Like, I like choosing what color my hair is going to be month to month. I like picking how I get to look when my photo is taken, if I have to have my photo taken somewhere. Like, I like the ownership and autonomy that I'm afforded by not doing that glamorous, awesome, fancy, pretty, high-paying job. That's not for me. I have no desire whatsoever to ever have that be my career, even if it's amazing and glamorous. So maybe there are just people that's just not their cup of tea. And it doesn't mean, like, I don't agree with the idea of delegitimizing the work of a fellow creator. I think that that's a little much and it is a little extreme, because you would hope that they'd afford you the same respect, and they probably do. But I don't understand why so many people are flabbergasted by that response. Like, I'd never want to do a superhero movie. It's like, just take yourself out of that situation and your love for superhero movies for a second and think about the idea that just might not be what someone wants.
Right. And that's the thing, is like, it's all performative. Nobody's flabber. Of course Jane Campion doesn't want to. I mean, yeah, duh. I could have probably told you that answer without even asking. Like, if Jane Campion had wanted to direct a superhero movie, it's not like Chloe Zhao, where she's like made a couple movies and it's like, oh, is this a direction you'd be interested in? We have a pretty established idea of the movies that Jane Campion is interested in, and nowhere in any of those do I see any indication that she would be interested in directing a superhero film. My guess is, if she wanted to do that, she's had 20 years. My guess is that she would have come to somebody and said, hey, you know what? I'd like to do one of those movies. It's just so dumb, but it's also, I'm feeding into this by talking about it. So from now on, whenever anybody asks this dumb question, I won't talk about it. We'll just try to let it pass like ships in the night. That's the last dance dance for the day, though. The rest is all excitement and fun. I just wanted to get those two out. Well, as far as I know.
By the way, this was not planned. Apparently, we have co-ranted, and people are pleased.
I like it. Let's look at some of our super chats. Wish Williams. Wow, very generous. Thank you. Just with a goat emoji. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Dr. Nova says, congratulations on 100K. Any plans? And finally, what are both of your spirit animals? Well, thank you. Any plans? Keep growing bigger and better. Have the show, this weekly show coming out is a big part of the plan. The audio channel was a big part of the plan. Obviously, relaunching all my movies, which I'm still trying to work the details out. I know it sounds weird that I've been trying to work details out for this long, but I promise
it's a little complicated issues behind the scenes that we have to work out.
There's some logistical stuff that we're trying to work out. So that's obviously part of the plan as well. And then, launching more things like video essays, etc. In the long run, supercuts. I love doing supercuts. I'm already working on a couple. That's sort of what it is. Just sort of diversify what I'm doing and do a lot of different kinds of things on the channel. So those are my plans. What are both of your spirit animals? I mean, I feel like I have to say a goat, only because I'm very flattered by people calling me the goat. So I guess I'd have to go with the goat. Mara, what's yours?
The mantis shrimp.
Like
it's one of the most fearsome animals on the planet, just like me, but it's many people are not aware of the mantis shrimp, just like many people are not aware of me. And also it's just it's breathtakingly vicious.
Yeah. I was gonna say mantis shrimp. That or a cat.
That or a
Peyton
cat.
says they filmed the final live performance of Rent a la Hamilton. The DVD is available on Amazon for $8. I'll buy it for you and send it to your PO box. Oh, but that's very flattering, Peyton. You don't have to. But thank you very much. I did not actually know that they filmed the final live performance. That's awesome.
See, I kind of want to see that because I've never seen Rent. So.
Crazy Kobold donated $6.66. I love that. I'm surprised you never talked about Coco Melon's sale. Moonbug Entertainment Limited. It sold for $3 billion back on November 4th, or did I just miss it? No, I actually did talk about it. I mean, apparently it's worth it because I'm taking the bit out of it for a second. Like, I mean, that's one of the things that, like, I know when I say I feel old, like, obviously I should with Coco Melon because it's aimed at people that are literally 35 years younger than me. But, like, that is just like a phenomenon. Like, people are just obsessed with that movie, with that show. And I guess it's
I can't watch
people
it.
But it's not meant for us to watch. I think it's, and from the feedback that I've gotten is that people with kids, it's just like catnip for them. Like if they need like 30 minutes just to like do parent stuff, which I get, like apparently kids are just transfixed with this show. And so it's $3 billion. I guess it sounds pretty good.
I'm sorry. I'm so hungry. I wonder if people can hear it.
Did your stomach growl?
My stomach is just going.
Oh my goodness!
As loud as possible.
Sorry. I see. I ranted for all those. I ranted you hungry. That's how much I ranted. I apologize. Oh wow! Look at this. Andrew Garfield donated $5. I knew that maybe he would be watching the show. By the way, Andrew, if you want to DM me whether or not you're going to be in Spider-Man No Way Home, I could break that news. That'd be great. Andrew Garfield donated $5. Actually, all my movies that came out this year have hints about Spidey. Look closely at my dialogue in each movie and find the right numbers in the background. You'll see the hints if you figure out the code. That ought to keep him busy. And watch my movies. I love. You know what?
That's awesome.
That is the most brilliant thing ever. If he said like, oh yeah, no, if you watch all my movies 5 times and then listen to the podcast all my movies, you'll find hidden codes. Oh, that would be great. And then you get people to go see movies like The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which, by the way, he's great in and is actually a great movie. Eric Ferris, thank you, Eric. Do you think there's any hope for the state of entertainment news in, say, 10 years? Do you have any ideas for how we might be able to demand better from the sources we get our movie news from? I mean, I think there are people out there that are doing great work. I think, honestly, the hope for any kind of news is to have ownership, either independent ownership or to have corporate ownership that understands that, like, the most clicky thing isn't the best thing. Because when you look at just news in general, I think that every outlet has leaned into one direction or the other because they're like, well, this is the audience we have, and so we have to go extreme in one direction or the other because that's what our audience wants. And so if we write 10 stories about Biden or 10 stories about Trump, and that's all we write, then we're going to get a bunch of clicks. And it doesn't really matter what's in the articles. It's just what clicks. And it's like, but it's not just what clicks. Sometimes you have to write boring things. Sometimes you have to write stuff that's like unpopular, or you don't have to look at what way to spin it. It's just like, well, this sucks for our audience because they don't want to hear this, but this is the truth, so this is what we're going to say. I really think the hope for entertainment news is just people out there in ownership positions that can say, we're not, we actually care about our reputation, so we're not going to ask these clickbaity questions. Like, I would be ashamed to own a news source that asked Martin Scorsese what he thinks of Spider-Man, because there's 500 more interesting questions to ask Martin Scorsese or Jane Campion or anybody. But that I'm sure that article, because it got shared everywhere on the internet and on social media, got a lot of clicks and probably generated a lot of ad revenue. I think it's just more about ownership. And as far as demanding better, I mean, vote with your wallet. the thing is, like, there's not many out there that are doing the kind of news that are able to have the resources to cover as much as these bigger outlets that are, kind of doing a lot of these. And they do. That's not to impugn every reporter that works for every major news outlet or media outlet, because there's a lot that are doing great reporting. It's just that you also have this kind of garbage that happens, and it's annoying. Aharon Epstein says, hey, Dan, congrats on hitting 100K so fast. I know the old MoviePass didn't have a good business model, but can you explain why AMC A-List is a good one? Yeah, I mean, well, briefly, first of all, MoviePass wasn't taking, other than your subscription, which is $9, like $10 a month or whatever it was, they weren't taking in any money, which meant that, like, for example, if Mara and I went to the movies once a month in LA, they were losing money immediately. They were already losing money on us because they took in our $10 subscription fee, but they paid out $16 for one movie ticket because that's what it costs in LA. Well, if we went 10 times a month, which we obviously did, then they were paying out $160 a month off of a $10 subscription fee. So we were just draining money out of them. AMC A-List, first of all.
Plus, you could go to like the premium showings too. So, I mean, they could be dumping twice that or more.
Yeah, they could be dumping there were people that went every day, so they were dumping $200, $300, $400 down. That was offsetting the people that subscribed and didn't go to the movies. AMC, at least, you give them that money goes directly to them. So, if I'm paying $12.99 for AMC and I buy a $12 movie ticket, well, that's offset my subscription cost. So they're still breaking even. But the other thing being, AMC gets, there's no concessions that are included in the AMC A-List. And when Mara and I go to the movie, I can't think of any time in the last however many times we've been to a theater where we don't at least get a drink, which is like 25 cents worth of material that you pay $5 for, or that we haven't gotten popcorn, which is, again, maybe 50 cents worth of material that you pay $5 for. And so they're basically using it as an incentive to get you in the door to buy the concessions, which has always been where they make the most of their money. So that's one of the reasons why A-List is a better business model, because yes, they may technically be losing a little bit of money if you use it 3 times a week, but at the same time, they're probably, unless you're a user that uses it 3 times a week, never buys concessions. That's their nightmare user, but I don't think that they have a lot of those. I think it just gets you to go to AMC more often.
Because with AMC A-List, I mean, particularly because we resumed after the pandemic hiatus, because you're right, we do get a drink usually, like every single time, and sometimes you get popcorn, and I like to eat your sad popcorns at the bottom of the bag. But I haven't been paid for anything out of pocket since then, because they keep giving me rewards and stuff. Like, even now, I've still got rewards I haven't used yet from when they restarted A-List. So it's also it both is good for them, but it's also good for me.
Yeah, it's a win-win. So that's one of the reasons why it's a much better business model for AMC. Also, I should mention, Mara, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. Squish. I'm sorry, squish the subscribe button. That's much more gentle. Squish that subscribe button, squish that like button, and share the video if you like what you see and you want to share the channel and the video with your friends. Come back. Maybe they can ask questions, etc. But yes, I always forget to do that. So please, if you're watching the video and you like what you see, hit that thumbs up button, and if you like the channel, hit that subscribe button. Justin Clowater says, today is Martin Scorsese's 79th birthday. Happy birthday.
I thought he was older.
Marty, may I call you Marty? He's had a life of considerable length. If you haven't heard the story, Mara and I went to see The Irishman. We very luckily got to go to the premiere, and Martin Scorsese introduced the movie, and he said, I'm going to keep my remarks short because this is a movie of considerable length. So every time we watch a long movie, we say it's a movie of considerable length. Sounds a little bit like a Scott Manson impression. Today is Scorsese's 79th birthday. If you could watch only one of his movies again, which one would you pick? Oh, man, that is tough. I mean, I think because it's a combination of so many different things, I might pick Wolf of Wall Street, only because it's got like the humor and the Scorsese style, and I like the story, and it's got great performances. I just think it encompasses so many different things, but like, I love the Departed as well, and Goodfellas, and that's tough. That's a tough one.
I think I might pick The Departed, just because I've only seen it once. I've also seen Infernal Affairs, but that humor really works for me. I laugh so much in that movie.
I'm the
Kind
guy
of want
who
to
does
watch
his
it again
job.
now.
You must be the other guy. Oh, Mark Wahlberg is gold in that.
Oh my gosh, he is.
The Departed for Mara, and maybe Wolf of Wall Street for me, although I might backtrack on that and say Goodfellas. I'm not sure. Spencer donated $10. Thank you, Spencer. Hey, Dan and Mara, keep up the great work. Would love to know what you each think is the key to making good satire. I'm directing a comedy short next week and would love to hear your thoughts before I do. Absolutely love you guys, and thank you for all you do. Thank you, Spencer. I think, first of all, you have to not be afraid. I mean, I'm not a maker of satire, but as a consumer of satire, I think you first of all have to have an irreverence. You can't be afraid to sort of, tread on some toes. Even if it's something you love, I think you have to be ready to sort of jab it a little bit in a way that's not just like, oh, I love this thing so much. Otherwise, I think it's more of I think parody, you can get away with it. Satire, for me, is very much about like kind of a poke in the ribs a little bit. I think relevance, a sharpness to it. I think you really have to cut to the heart of things. Really, I think that is the difference between parody and satire. Parody, I think, is a lot easier. That's like epic movie and superhero movie and stuff. That's parody. Some of them are great. Naked Gun is a parody, and that's great. But satire, I think, you're really cutting to the heart of something current and true. Blazing Saddles, for me, I don't think that is a Western parody. I think that is a satire. I mean, parts of it are a Western parody, but I think it's largely a satire of American culture at that time under the guise of being a Western parody. Whereas I think that Young Frankenstein is a little bit more of a parody of Frankenstein movies of the era, but they're both wonderful movies. But I think satire's got that extra edge to it, and I think that's what
Well, I also think that what's important is the idea of truth. Like, I think that you should make like true commentary on whatever it is that you're satirizing. Sorry about my stomach. I also think that, just for me, because I'm sure that there's much more clinical definitions that might even contradict this, but for me, parody is heightening something and you kind of diminish its significance in how you do that. Like, you're making light of it by literally lightening it. And I think that satire and like absurd comedies, they get to the truth of something, and you're not diminishing the significance of whatever it is that you're looking at. Like, you're retaining its significance, and you're just finding a way to do that through comedy.
Yeah, definitely.
Ben.
Did I miss something? What'd Ben say? What'd Ben do?
Ben said in the private chat, Mara's stomach growls. They have a cave troll.
They have a cave troll. So many people have sent in questions, and thank you to everybody. I want to get to our next story, and then we'll keep asking your questions. But I want to talk about something that I don't 100% still understand. Well, I understand Quentin Tarantino, kind of. But Quentin Tarantino is being sued over NFTs, which are, I do know that stands for non-fungible tokens. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. Quentin Tarantino is being sued over plans to turn scenes from Pulp Fiction into NFTs by scanning script pages from his original screenplay and including audio commentary, producing an NFT that will reportedly reveal secrets about the movie and Tarantino himself. I presume the secret that Tarantino is going to reveal is whispering, "I like feet," into a microphone. Miramax claims, Miramax, who is the studio that is thankfully no longer under control of the Schmeins, but still has the rights to Pulp Fiction. Miramax claims that this violates their intellectual property rights because they produced the film and put up the money and released it, etc. Tarantino's lawyers reportedly are saying that the NFT falls under the rights reserved by Tarantino for script publication. So it's a bit of a war of the lawyers there, but Miramax suing to stop him from selling these NFTs. There's actually a website for the sale of the Quentin Tarantino NFT, which is pretty crazy. I guess people can sign up if they want to buy them. I would imagine they go for quite a lot of money. But yeah, so Quentin Tarantino wants to produce NFTs of his Ben Goddard Tarantino NFT Neverending Feet tokens.
Nice.
Pretty good. Yeah, Tarantino wants to take portions of his own work, to be fair, but also Miramax owns the finished product and sell them as NFTs. I've been very clear. Somebody once asked me if I was interested in doing NFTs, and I was like, I don't know what they are, so no.
Well, and then when we learned what we are, we were like, oh no, definitely not.
Yeah, it's sort of like, and I know it's kind of related. It's kind of like Bitcoin, which is like, I kind of know what it is, but whenever somebody like really tries to go into it in depth with me, my eyes kind of glaze over, and I'm just sort of like, okay, I sort of get it. I think it's just one of those things that it's just I'm gonna let people that are experts in that thing be the experts, and you could just do it. I mean, I've certainly heard the concerns about the environmental impacts, etc. But just the idea of like how it works and ownership. And anyway, I think I'm okay with knowing the basics of it. I think the more interesting thing here is the question about intellectual property rights. And it's like, yeah, like for example, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Tarantino obviously doesn't own that finished film, I don't think. But he owns the publication rights to his screenplay because he wrote it, so he could do things like the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood book, which he's made. It's a very interesting legal question, though. I think this could actually set some precedent about what a screenwriter can do with their published work, and that's not the physical movie itself, the actual filmed movie. I think that you could set some interesting legal precedent here. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's very complicated, a little more complicated than we can get into just in a segment
Yeah.
on the show. But I think you brought up in general, what are the bullet points of the pro cons? And it's certainly going to be something we keep our fingers on the pulse going forward, because as you mentioned, this could be something moving forward that is a major sea change in how NFTs are used, especially related to like theatrical IP.
I love it. Garth, the glowing object of the briefcase of Pulp Fiction was an NFT. Maybe it was. Maybe that's what they're gonna show. I'm not legal, so I'm not qualified to do a full legal rundown. I just think it's an interesting. What?
Great reference.
Oh, thank you. I'm just not. I'm not really. I don't know. That's just not something that I really know about. But I think it's interesting, and I'm going to follow that case because more and more creatives are kind of moving into this area of selling their work, and it could be like, well, to what degree do you own your own work? If you have a physical copy of the script, because he says like, well, this is my handwritten original script, like this is my script, this is mine. It's like, but yeah, but when does that ownership end? It could actually raise an interesting legal precedent. So that's a case that I want to follow and bring up because I like the answers to these. These are the kind of boring stories that you have to write sometimes because they're interesting. It's not going to get a lot of clicks, but I think it could set some really interesting legal precedent. Before we get to some more of the questions that you guys sent in, I also want to thank our sponsor for today, which is Raycon. We are, believe it or not, Mara, Thanksgiving's next week, which is hard to believe.
No, lies.
No, that's true. Thanksgiving is next week. That means that the holiday shopping season is right around the corner. If you're like me, you're always looking for a great gift idea for your family, friends, loved ones, coworkers, etc. Luckily, there is one gift that you can get for them at a great price that they're going to use every day, which is Raycon wireless earbuds. I am wearing them right now. They are currently in my ears because they are really convenient. I talked about yesterday on my Ghostbusters review. If you watch the Schmodown, I'm a dinosaur. I've been like with the wired headphones forever, and I'm literally tied to my computer. I started using these. I got sent a pair to try out last week. They're great for this show because they fit right in the ear. They're very low profile. The sound quality is great. I can do the stream. I have the freedom of movement. I'm not jerking around the computer, etc. I know that people have been using wireless earbuds for a while now, but if you're in the market for a pair, if you don't know what to get, these are the ones that I'm using right now. I really like them. It's got seamless Bluetooth pairing and a comfortable noise isolating fit. You can start listening right away and listen to them for hours. Raycon offers 8 hours of playtime and a 32-hour battery life, which means that I could sit here and rant for 8 straight hours, and don't put it above me. I could definitely do that, and these babies would still have life and let me listen to Mara stomach grumble the entire time. The audio quality is also great. It's comparable to what you can get for other premium brands, but Raycon starts at half the price. These are also the new everyday earbuds, which come with 3 different sound profiles. There's the pure mode, which is for things like podcasts, blues, instrumental music. You have balanced mode, which you can also use for podcast, rock, heavy metal, and then bass mode if you're doing more of the EDM, reggae, hip hop, etc. There's also a built-in mic so that you can take calls. You just press the button here on the side and take the calls at the press of a button. button. So this holiday season, get something that people can use for calls, music, live streaming, work, home, on the go, you name it. Or you can pick up a pair for yourself. You don't have to buy them for somebody else. Get yourself something. You know what? You deserve it. You made it through these last couple years. You're going to use them every day. That's the bottom line. And we have a special promotion for viewers and listeners of the show. You can go to buyraycon.com/Murrell. That's BUYRAYCON.com/MURRELL today to unlock exclusive deals up to 20% off your Raycon order. But hurry, this offer is available for a limited time only, and you don't want to miss it. That's buyraycon.com/Murrell to pick up 20% off your Raycon order. Buyraycon.com/Murrell. And I'm loving these things. I'm telling you, it's I can move around. It's, Mara, you've been telling me forever I need to get a pair of these wireless things because I'm just literally got the wire. I was running the wire up my shirt and then through the top for the Schmodown. Anyway.
That's just because you're so used to being on set. Because when we get mic'd up, we got to go through the clothes and stuff.
Yeah. No, it's. I'm taking a jump into the 21st century, which is great.
But are you?
Let's get into kind of. Maybe one day when I learn how Bitcoin and NFTs work, then I'll really be a 21st century guy, which is going to be never. Let's get to some more of your questions. John Getz donated, said, why didn't they ask Jane Campion if she'd be in Spider-Man? Why didn't they ask her about directing Star Trek or Star Wars? I'm going to find her and ask her what PlayStation 5 games are her favorites. And if she says she doesn't play, well, there's a headline, baby. I love it. Yes, John Getz,
great.
The next generation in entertainment journalism. Garth, thank you. Garth Harkness McMurray says, Dan, given what Mara said, should we put a hold on the Dan and Mara marriage screenplay with the whole ceremony scripted out, including the speeches and that drunken outburst from Ken Knapsack? I really liked Sir Pounce walking in with the ring on the collar too. Yeah, Garth, I know that we've been working on that for a while, and I was actually going to deliver it to Mara for notes next week. But now that I know that she does not want the wedding scripted, then we should we'll put it. I'm putting you in turnaround. I'm putting it in turnaround, and we'll figure out something else. Don't worry.
By the way, have you noticed that there's a presence in our chat?
A presence in our chat? Is there a ghost there?
Well, there's a person who's identifying themselves as Christian Harloff.
Oh, is it actually Christian Harloff, or is it an impersonator?
I don't know. Christian, text me if it's you.
Yeah. If it is Christian, hi, thanks for watching. Welcome. Have any questions about the Schmodown AMA? No, not here. Not here. Go to the Facebook page. Big Bad Bats Maru says, hey, Dan and Mara, I've recently been going down a nostalgia rabbit hole revisiting movies I used to watch ad nauseum as a kid in the 80s. If you've seen them, what are your thoughts on Beastmaster, Dragon Slayer, Popeye, and The Last Dragon? Thanks, y'all. Boy, you hit me in 4 tender spots because I think I saw Beastmaster on TV. The other ones, if I've seen them, it's been a very long time, and I don't really remember them. Any of your favorites there, Mara?
I mean, Beastmaster, yeah, definitely. You'd think I'd actually have a lot of nostalgia for Popeye, but I don't, but only because I think I've never revisited it, and I don't really remember it at all. But now I kind of want to.
Yeah,
kind
I need
of.
to go back and get some of those 80s ones. I love that aesthetic.
I just love everything about the 80s.
I know. There's a lot of great things about the 80s. I remember some of them. Dom Mio said, my 2-year-old and I served in the Cocomelon streaming war. We did our part. Our alphabet was never better. Remember us, baby JJ, save us all.
That's one of the best comments we've ever gotten.
I love it. Joey says, 2 of my favorites this year were definitely Bo Burnham's Inside and Spencer. Have you guys seen those films, and what are your thoughts? I have seen Spencer. Mara was not able to go with me to that one, and I enjoyed it. That's going to be part of my awards watch review series. And this very coincidental. Actually, just this past week, we watched Inside because we were trying to figure out what to watch, and I was like, we keep hearing about Inside, and we've never sat down and watched it.
My co-host on The Basement, I thought, was going to pull out his beautiful, beautiful hair if I hadn't watched Inside by the end of the year.
Yeah. Trevor was very upset that we hadn't watched Inside, so I watched it, and I will tell you right now, it was Emmy nominated, which means I can't really usher it in as one of my 10 favorite movies of the year because I guess it is technically for awards purposes considered a TV movie. However, I will say it will most assuredly be getting special mention this year in my favorite movies of the year because I thought it was, no shocker because I'd heard this. I thought it was brilliant. I loved it. Just that song about the internet
Yeah,
Are you
Welcome to the
interested in
Internet was, I
devastating
think, our
all of the
favorite
time?
song. I really liked
Oh
the
my God.
reaction thing, though. Reacting to the
Where he's
reaction to the
reacting to
reaction.
himself reacting. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that was so. If you haven't seen Inside, it's on Netflix from Bo Burnham. I thought it was fantastic. Zenot Lakax says, any thoughts on Pan's Labyrinth? Love your work. Yeah, actually, it was part of our movie club over on Patreon. If you're not a patron, patreon.com/Dan Murrell. We do a movie club every month, and last month in October, it was the films of Guillermo del Toro. We watched 4 of them, and one of them was Pan's Labyrinth, and it'd been a little bit since I revisited. What a beautiful film that is. I love that movie
love
so
it.
much. It's so great, and I mean, the practical stuff, the way that they married practical and digital so that you really can't tell where the line is, the production design, etc.
Well, and watching the behind the
beautiful film.
scenes stuff too, about like Doug Jones in all of those costumes and
Yes.
stuff. So neat.
Learned the script in Spanish, which
Yes.
he didn't speak
So that
at
way,
the time.
well, yeah, he learned it phonetically in Spanish, so that way when it ended up being where the voiceover actor was able to perfectly match him because he was speaking with his mouth those exact syllables. So it ended up being a really good thing. So
Pretty
cool.
crazy.
And I mean, just the idea that those like articulated fawn legs, like he's
Yeah.
actually, his legs are there, but in front of him with green screen, like with green junk on his legs. But like he is really walking that whole time, like that wobbling and all of it. Like it's just so neat. It's not, the craft is just amazing. And the music.
Yeah, I mean the craft behind the film on its own, but then that story, which is just so heartbreaking, and yet, depending on which way you want to take the ending, very depressing or very hopeful, or both. I think it's a little bit of both. Brian Jones says, what do you think about the strategy of Netflix's Arcane being released in 3 acts, each 3 episodes, instead of all at once or as weekly episodes? I keep hearing about Arcane. Maybe that should be my next exploration after Demon Slayer.
Yes.
Because I keep hearing about Arcane and that it's really good. So maybe I should get into it, because a lot of people have been asking what I think about it, and I've heard it's great. So I think that's an interesting way to do it. I think that every show works differently, and I think that, for example, I think Mandalorian and the Disney Plus shows are great on a weekly thing because it gives audiences a week to sort of process them. But I think if this is the way that works for that particular show, then that's a great way to do it as well. I wish that more services would kind of not just decide what their strategy is for everything, but instead say like I wish Netflix would release some shows like all at once, but I think a show like Stranger Things would be great as a weekly release. So yeah, I kind of wish that they would adjust their pattern a little bit. Peyton says, I can't find where your PO box is listed. I'm on your Patreon. I'm looking at your video descriptions. Can you say it here or PM me on Patreon? Yeah, Peyton, I'll send you a message over on Patreon. No worries. Let's see. Harv's donated. Thank you, Harv's. Hey, Dan and Mara, excited for Licorice Pizza. Reviews have been exceptional so far, and we're looking at a sure Oscar contender. Excited to see Alana Haim as another musician who seems to be transitioning into an actor with immediate acclaim. Yeah, P.T. Anderson, I'm sort of like, it's not really polarizing, but like there's some movies of his that like I either like am really into them, or I recognize that like I get why people are into them, but they're just not for me. Like Magnolia is one where I'm just like, I get why people are into it, but it's just not for me, or at least when I saw it last, which has been quite some time. But like There Will Be Blood, Phantom Thread, 2 movies that I am so excited for. But yeah, Licorice Pizza, especially with the idea of Philip Seymour Hoffman's son being in it. Anytime P.T. Anderson makes a new movie, I'm excited about it. I'm hoping we get to see it fairly soon.
Interested. I don't know if it's going to be my tempo, but I'm eager to maybe be proven wrong and absolutely be delighted.
Yeah, exactly. That's the great thing. Amber Coates. Hi, Amber. Dan, please do entire episodes in the Martin Scorsese voice. Thanks. Lots of love. Yes. That will be an episode of considerable length.
Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be great? Oh, you know what? We've been talking about doing like a really long stream. That would be great if we just forced you to do it all in this Scorsese voice.
Maybe we just have like a rotating like 5 minutes at a time. It's like
maybe.
I remember this episode was brought to you by I saw Pick Up on South Street when I was 14, and I just remember the anyway. Troy X Rose. This is a very important question for Mara. How do you feel about gingerbread cookies? This may be the most important question we asked today.
Okay. All right. Here's the thing. So I am a very particular person regarding texture with my cookies/biscuits, depending on where you're from. I like them to have firm set edges, but I like a soft inside. Like it doesn't have to be like melty and gooey and like literally undercooked, but I like a soft, chewy texture. I'm not a big fan of like a very crunchy, snappy biscuit/cookie, which is generally what gingerbread is supposed to be. That is its intended texture. So I make a very different recipe when I make gingerbread. Plus, being not Christian, I didn't ever make a gingerbread house as a kid. So I like never learned how to make it the really crispy, crunchy way because we just didn't have a reason to. However, I love the flavors, like molasses and all of the spices like cinnamon, nutmeg, clove, ginger, fresh ginger as well. So good. I make a really great, Dan's actually had it several times. It's a banana gingerbread loaf cake with a vanilla glaze on the top, like a thick glazed icing. Imagine like if you go to Starbucks, how they have their, God, my stomach. If they have their lemon pound cake where it's got that like big thick layer of icing on the top, it's like that. It's a loaf cake that I slice into slices, but it's banana gingerbread. So it's like a banana bread, but it has molasses, all those spices inside of it. And I bake it at a slightly lower temperature, but for longer to give it like a really even bake that leaves a lot of moisture inside of the bread. Because banana bread can get a little dry, but the molasses keeps it really, really nice, almost like not stodgy in the bad way, but in the good way kind of texture. So yeah, big fan of it. But I know that I probably don't make it the way that it should be. Like if you're going to talk to like a classic baker, I'm sure that Paul Hollywood is rolling over right now thinking something's wrong. I feel a disturbance in the force.
But he'd give you a handshake. Yeah.
Oh God, Paul Hollywood handshake. I think you know me, I'm not like a very emotional person, at least not on the outside. Oh, I might like either vomit with delight or cry.
What if Paul Hollywood gave you a handshake? We're talking about the Great British Baking Show, by the way, which we should start doing more. What if Paul Hollywood gave you a handshake and then Prue said that she would eat
that she wanted the recipe?
That she wanted the recipe, and then Mary Berry came out like John Cena and said that it was scrummy. Like, what would you do?
Oh my God. I mean,
like,
I feel like I would.
Ultimate thing.
I feel like I'd be content to just like have a brain aneurysm and die right after because my life would be complete.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, not literally, but you know what I mean? Like that's for me as a home baker who's,
there he is.
But who's never gone, like I've never gone to like any professional level cooking school. I'm entirely self-taught. And I think I make some really good stuff. That would be really, I'd feel so complimented by it.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be pretty amazing. Ben, is our audio okay, by the way? I saw a couple people saying that I might be coming in a little soft. I can try to adjust things on my end. I'm sure Ben will answer. All right, let's see what the next. Oh, we got a couple super stickers. I don't know how I'm guessing.
I can't actually see
poetries
them.
Or
I can't see them. It just says super sticker.
Oh wow.
I know.
Super sticker.
Oh, by the way, I didn't mean to necessarily imply that like gingerbread houses are like Christian per se, but like Jewish people just, at least not that I've ever known, like we don't make them, like Muslim people don't make them. Like, I guess I'm maybe typifying it in a way that it doesn't need to be, but like it's typically something that people do around Christmas, which I never celebrated. So I didn't mean to like religiously my baked goods. So I may have said that in a way that was off-putting, but I didn't mean to.
Oh no, I got what you meant. I'm putting at least the super stickers ups. Thank you, Robert Stack. Thank you, 1/4 Canadian, for those. Very, very generous. Thank you so much. Let's see. Ben says our audio is good. Okay, thank you, Ben. I was gonna say I don't think that we laid claim. Although there's a tradition of just laying claim to whatever. So maybe I'd forgotten that we had laid claim to, because I grew up a Christian, so that we had laid claim to gingerbread houses. But also it's a very stereotypical Christmas thing. Like, it is not something that's just like, oh, everybody builds gingerbread houses. So I get what you mean. All right, let's see. I think we have one more question and then we'll move on to our next story. Kelly W, thank you, Kelly, says you have to eliminate one from existence, Coco Melon or MoviePass. Which do you pick? Congrats on 100K. Ooh, I mean, I think we've seen what the wrath of Coco Melon can bring. So I think because it's already been eliminated from existence a couple times, I'd have to go with MoviePass, even though I would like to cover it forever. Plus, I'd like the kids to be entertained. How about you, hun? Which one would you eliminate?
I don't know. Coco Melon freaks me out. I mean, I'm not a person that's like, the children love me, but I'm not comfortable around many kids other than Kira because she's perfect. Oh my God, the chair moved on its own and then I realized it was Muffin. Jeez. I think I might say Coco Melon, although I like that it helps out parents everywhere. It just freaks me out looking at it. I don't like it.
It is freaky. It's very freaky. Ollie Haynes says, ooh. First, also Kelly said, congrats on 100K. Thank you, Kelly. Ollie Haynes says, okay, no, we're going to have to put up the spoiler ban. Yes. Ollie Haynes says, has the new Bake Off made it to the U.S. yet? Last night's semifinal was epic. No.
We do not get it until...
spoiler-free zone. We get it at midnight.
We get it tomorrow night.
Eastern time. No, we get it at midnight Pacific. So 2 a.m. our time on Thursday night. So Fridays we get it here in the States.
So tomorrow night.
No. Bake Off, it's called the Great British Bake Off in the UK because...
Which is what it should be called, because why did they change the title for us? That's stupid.
It's called the Great British Baking Show here because Pillsbury owns the copyright to the name Bake Off.
Oh, I did not know that. Well, I still think it's dumb. I call it Bake Off.
I had to look it up.
Or GBBO.
GBBO. All right, we will close out the show with the rest of your questions, but I wanted to get very quickly to a few other stories. Mara, I know this is one. I told you we were doing this, and you went, ooh, that you should be going, ooh. Dolph Lundgren. Who doesn't love Dolph Lundgren? We saw the Rocky versus Drago cut last week. It was great. Dolph Lundgren is executive producing a documentary about himself called Dolph. This is what he had to say, quote, there have been some tough times that I've been through and I've had to pay a price to get where I am now. This film isn't a celebration of my known successes, rather an examination of a man's journey to truly find himself and the happiness he desires. I want audiences to really get to know me, and maybe my story will help someone understand what they too might have to endure to get to that certain place in their life. Our message is that the journey can be tough, but if you keep going, everyone has a chance to eventually get to their destination. Very briefly, if you only know Dolph Lundgren as Drago or He-Man or from the Expendables movies, a couple quick things about Dolph Lundgren. First of all, actor, model, we all know that. Graduated from the Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm with a degree in chemical engineering. Got a master's degree in chemical engineering from the University of Sydney in Australia. He was awarded a Fulbright scholarship to MIT in the U.S., was going to MIT, ended up meeting Grace Jones, who she has her own documentary and should, ends up meeting Grace Jones, is in a relationship with her. She introduces him to like the modeling acting world. And so instead of being a Fulbright scholar at MIT, he becomes He-Man. And Dolph Lundgren as we know him today. But I can't wait for this.
He's a certifiable genius. And I love him.
Like, this is going to be one of the most interesting documentaries. Like, I'm so excited to learn more about Dolph Lundgren, like from Dolph Lundgren, because like that story from the inside has just got to be fascinating.
I've always wanted to meet him because I honestly just want to talk science shit with him.
I think that we can say this because it was at Defy. No, talk science shit. Science the shit out of it with Dolph Lundgren, as Matt Damon would say. I think we pitched this at Defy, and they said no anyway. That we got an ask one time. They were like, Dolph Lundgren has this movie that he's promoting. You know, do you want to do anything with them? And we pitched movie science with Dolph Lundgren.
Yes.
Where like we would promote the movie, but like we had this recurring thing on the Screen Junkie show called Movie Science, where we would bring in an actual scientist, and Dolph Lundgren is a scientist. And so we were going to have Dolph Lundgren come in and talk about because how much is Dolph Lundgren to talk about actual science? We pitched movie science with Dolph Lundgren and they said no. My guess is a lot of times when you pitch stuff, like sometimes they don't even take it to the person because they're afraid that they're going to feel like it's dumb or whatever. So they'll just say no. But like of everything that we pitched, that was the thing that got turned down that I was the most pissed off about, because I was like, that would have been a home run movie science with Dolph Lundgren.
Well, especially because I would have 100% baked some sort of cookie and frosted it in some sort of science-related shape. So that way I would have an excuse to be there. So that way I have an excuse to talk science with him.
He would have gotten baked goods. Anyway, yeah, I was very angry that they said no to the...
Plus also, I just want to stand next to him because he is enormous.
He's a giant.
He's like a gorgeous oak tree of some kind. And I just want to stand next to him and look like this and be like, hi, how are you? It's lovely to meet you.
He's a giant,
because I'm a tiny
man.
person. I wear this is a child's t-shirt. I wear kids' clothes.
Dolph knows how to operate and fix a cosmic key. That's like super hard. That's true. He does. Along with Bildor. Hey man, the key, the cosmic key. Yeah, there we go. Sounds a little bit like Harry Carey. Okay, Predator. You like Predator, right? Predator, there's a prequel to Predator that's actually been shot. This was produced under the name Skull.
I love
You love Predator. You love Predator. There's a Predator prequel, which is called Prey. It's coming next year. It's going to be on Hulu. This is from director Dan Trachtenberg. He did 10 Cloverfield Lane. There had been reports that he was working on a Predator movie for quite some time. As I mentioned, it was already shot under the name Skull, but we now know the name is going to be Predator. This is the log line for the movie, set in the world of the Comanche Nation. Well, did I say Predator? Yes, the name's going to be Prey. Set in the world of the Comanche Nation 300 years ago, the action thriller follows Naru, the skilled warrior who fiercely protects her tribe against a highly evolved alien predator. And then they had the one promo image, which is sort of like, in the mist with the predator behind him. That's a great image, I have to say. We keep getting these retcons where the Predator was never here except for this one time. I think if you divorce it from the Predator mythology and just sort of take it on its own, I think that this has a really... I like the idea. I like 10 Cloverfield Lane. I think this has got some real potential.
I agree. I also kind of wish that they would leave its history a little untouched, just because it muddies the timeline and it just makes it more difficult going forward. But I am super excited and I'm definitely going to see it. And I hope that they don't, because there are criticisms, which I don't agree with, about toxic masculinity in that movie. I agree that there are some very outmoded terminologies and some jokes that are made in it, because, I think we can all agree that some of those are don't age well. And some of the vernacular used by a couple of characters really shouldn't have even been okay then. But yeah. I disagree that the movie itself is just toxic masculinity in a bottle. And I hope that they don't make a hard pivot to basically try to say, look, we actually are super progressive and we're really, really, we aren't those people. Only because I don't think it'll feel like it's authentically part of the franchise. If anything, they should just make a one-off movie that's not connected to an IP that has specific social messaging in there to make whatever statement they want to make. But if it feels if in its cinematography, if in its musical choices, if just how they craft their story, the simplicity of Predator is amazing. It's a simple story. It's a fairly low dialogue movie. It's in its own way, even though it's in a large outdoor environment, it feels very self-contained because it's just forest, jungle rather, consistently jungle. So I would just like for it to feel as if it's part of that world. It doesn't have to be the same movie. It'd be just a huge failure if it were, but I'm excited, especially because the title is sick.
Yeah. I think in general, it's let the movie be what it's going to be. We actually were talking about this. I know it's dangerous to say this word. We've already said it a couple times on the show. It's dangerous to say this word on the internet, but Ghostbusters. When you look at the last two Ghostbusters movies, I was going to say for better or for worse, but I really think with 2016, as far as the reception and just the way that it was positioned for people, for worse, they kind of put up front, not we have 4 funny comedians starring in the movie, but up front, this is the female Ghostbusters. And that was sort of the front forward message. And I think that they pushed it so hard that it turned a lot of people off because it just seemed to be the only narrative surrounding the film. Whereas this movie, Ghostbusters Afterlife, the lead character is a young girl, played by McKenna Grace, who's great in this movie. But that hasn't been the messaging around the film. It's just that is who the lead character of the film is. And the movie, I think, is done so well, it never has to draw attention to that. It's just, you have a great young female lead character. And the messaging has really been about the movie and the just the Ghostbusters of it all. And I think that's the difference a lot of times is, I agree. I hope that they push this movie as just a new look at the Predator franchise, etc. I think when you push too hard, unless it's vital, endemic to the subject of the movie or the topic of the movie, in which case, obviously, you message movies different ways. But I think if you push too hard one way or the other, then it's just, it kind of turns people off a little bit.
I think that you should definitely champion inclusion. But at the same time, I think you also have to sell the movie on its own merits. And I'm not saying it's an easy balance to make, but I think you do have to make that balance. And I think that Ghostbusters Afterlife has been a really good example of a way that you include a young female lead in the movie, but it doesn't seem like the studio or even the filmmakers are kind of making a victory lap around it. That's what I think about Disney. Where Disney's done bad is like they've pushed for more inclusion into things like their animated films and their live action remakes and stuff, which I think is a wonderful thing. But they feel the need to go out preemptively and like take a victory lap and look who we put in our movie, and it's like, well, it just looks like it looks like an empty gesture, even if it's not an empty gesture. You make it look like an empty gesture. So I hope that they're able to take this action film, take the lead, make a great movie, and show that you can make movies about anybody as long as it's a great movie. It doesn't matter. And that's,
well, I mean, it's kind of like Eternals. Like they did some amazing stuff for representation in a lot of different ways, but I didn't feel like the movie was like asking for an attaboy, and that's just one of the reasons why I love it. They just made characters that were who they were, and we just got to appreciate them for being equally as valuable as any other character. I love that.
I know that some people have said that they felt that way, and I think for some people, just the inclusion of, they feel like there's like, stop cramming it down my throat by casting these people. It's like, no, that's not. Anyway, yeah,
I'm sorry they cast people that you're going to find anywhere all the time because it's real life and everyone really exists. I'm so sorry your reality is so narrow.
Yeah. So, I get it. You're never going to do it perfectly, but with this one, I think this is a great opportunity to really just make, again, just take it away from the Predator franchise and just make a really great movie. And again, I love this pitch. I'm really looking forward to it. This could have been a lead story, but I think it's kind of a nothing story. Another Marvel film, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, is going to be undergoing reshoots. Now, reshoots happen, as we found out, on nearly every movie, and they're always called reshoots. Usually it's reshoots and additional photography. So it's not just reshooting material. It's, hey, we were in the editing room and realized we need this scene, this shot, we want to rewrite this dialogue, this line of dialogue, etc. But news broke last week that Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness will be going about 6 weeks of reshoots and additional photography through the end of the year, with director Sam Raimi and the writer Michael Waldron still on board, so it's not a case where you're bringing in a new creative team. It's been said that the shooting will be extensive, with the cast and crew potentially working 6-day weeks for these 6 weeks. Although THR was reporting this story, quoted a Marvel insider as saying that other Marvel films have had more material reshot than Doctor Strange is getting. Much of the additional shooting reportedly is due to shooting that was either slowed down or unable to be completed due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the restrictions that followed it. No insider reporting has indicated that the movie is in big trouble. So, of course, much of the internet is saying that the movie is in big trouble. But again, it's like, first of all, reshooting on Marvel films is something that happens on every single movie. I mean, I think that we've kind of gone through this process of ringing the alarm bell so many times, and it's just, this is how they work. This is what Marvel does. They shoot the script, they do the movie, and even actors have said, I think Benedict Cumberbatch even has talked about this in interviews this week. He just said, like, listen, when you're making a Marvel movie, they're scheduling you for reshoots after. They're saying, okay, when are you going to come back? Because that's just the way that they make these movies. They shoot the script and then they say, okay, what can we do better? Which I don't think is necessarily a bad way to work. Add in the fact reportedly that production was stopped due to the pandemic, so obviously it's going to be tough to get that going, and the restrictions from coming back from shooting apparently made shooting much more difficult, much slower, and so there's stuff they didn't get. Again, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before, of the boring story versus the clicky story. It's much more interesting to say that this movie's in serious trouble, and much less interesting to say this is business as usual, compounded a little bit with what happened with the pandemic, etc. But nothing rings the alarm bells for me. But people gotta do what they do.
There have been some reshoots that have improved movies, like even movies that made big missteps and that were kind of like production nightmares, like World War Z. Not a great adaptation of its source material per se, but its reshoots to redo its entire third act climax, I think, were overall a dramatic necessity and a huge improvement over what they were going to do. And that movie was just a mess of epic proportions to make. But reshoots in and of themselves can be a good thing, even regularly scheduled ones, and even like haphazardly, oh my God, this is a mess ones.
And I'll agree, Protos X saying Solo had reshoots and was horrible. I agree, but I think the difference being Solo had a complete change in creative direction, in that you fired the original directors, you come back, you have a reportedly a completely different tone, etc. I think that's the other thing, is like not all reshoots are created equal. And even sometimes when you have that issue, like Rogue One also had reshoots. I'm a big fan of Rogue One. I don't know what the original version of that film looked like, but I think with Marvel, like this story comes out every time they talk about reshoots, but it's like, it's just that reshoots is they happen on every Marvel movie. And again, the order for things was changed. Who knows what script revisions have to be made, if what they've had to set up in other movies or not set up, or the distance, etc., but between what their original plan was. I agree, this looks extensive. Obviously, if you're working a few weeks and you're working up to 6 days a week, like obviously they have a lot to do, but at the same time, you know, we're not in normal times. We're if there'd been no interruption to shooting and they were still doing 6 weeks of reshoots, maybe I'd say like, oh, that's curious. But you know, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt here and say that I can't imagine the nightmare that production has been with stopping in the middle of a pandemic and trying to get things back on track. And yes, having to do all these protocols. It's actually kind of comforting that the protocols slowed it down, because it sounds like that means they were following them, which is great. James Hewitt. Blame Kathleen Kennedy. Yes, I think we can all agree this is Kathleen Kennedy's fault.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Anyway, I think that I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt on this one. I'm not ringing the alarm bells on it just yet, and this is a movie that I'm very much looking forward to. Plus, keep in mind, they just delayed the release dates, which means you're going to have even more time to do things like extensive reshoots, because you have more time in editing. Anything that makes the movie better, I'm in favor for, and if they think these are necessary to make the movie better, I'm on board with it. Mara,
Plus, we have no evidentiary basis to say that it's bad and there's reshoots because it's bad, or it's good and the reshoots are going to make it worse. There's literally nothing to go on besides like a bias towards the movie in and of itself before you see it.
Exactly. It's, you know, it's all speculation at this point. Mara, before we answer the final batch of questions, there is one trailer that I wanted to talk about that is not Spider-Man, but it is a trailer. We were delighted to see this movie a couple years ago. Downton Abbey is coming back. There's going to, not on TV though, there's going to be another new movie, Downton Abbey, a new era, but they're going on a road trip. They're going to France. They're going to the Dowager Countess's villa in France, the south of France. Did I say that right? Right. Yeah, the Dowager Countess. Yeah, that's right. Maggie Smith.
Yeah, no, anyway. Sorry, I'm making faces at internet, not you.
She has a long lost relationship that means that she inherited the south of France. This is like Saved by the Bell Hawaiian style, or you know, Brady Bunch Goes to Hawaii, or any of the Hawaii things. This is their version of going to Hawaii. They're going to the south of France, but really this is just to watch a delightful cast be exceedingly British. Ben, let's get ahead of that Dowager Countess just being wonderfully British.
And with that, I will say good night and leave you to discuss my mysterious past.
Oh, Maggie Smith. I love her. I feel like in the last movie, they thought that she was, this sounds a little morbid, I feel like they thought that she was going to die because they kind of had this scene where she like sort of like, you know, and was like, this is the end, you know, but she's coming back. So we all know that Maggie Smith can't die.
No, it's not allowed. It's illegal. Her and QE2, they're not allowed.
They're not allowed to die. But I'm just excited by this. These movies are just, I know some people are probably bored to tears by Downton Abbey, but I think these movies are just delightful. It's just fun to watch.
Oh my gosh. That last movie, like, it was such a feel-good movie. I felt so good when we finished watching it. I love Downton Abbey so much. Yeah,
I don't know. I'm excited for this. They're going on a road trip. Who knows what wacky adventures they're going to get to down in France. Maybe Mr. Bates might knock over the English Tower, the Eiffel Tower. I don't know. Someone's going to give someone an idea for the tunnel. It's going to be fun. Either way you go, they're going on a road trip. I'm excited. We're going to go see it.
Just that music, like, because if you watch the full trailer, you know, you get the Downton Abbey music in it. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's my version of comfort TV in its own way. And then, of course, the movies just build on that. I'm thoroughly excited. I think we should go in costume, full costume, top to bottom.
You think I should go with like tails, like in white gloves?
Yes.
Carry the tickets in on a tray.
Yes.
No
Oh yeah, you
movie
never
was
ever take
alive.
something someone hands you. Never.
No, never. All right. So let's talk about, we're going to get this last batch of questions. So you have until we get to the end of this list if you still want to get your questions in, and then we'll wrap up the show. The Flick Pick. Hey, what's up, man? The Flick Pick. Hey, Dan, after leaving LA, do you find the lack of early access to press screenings has made covering or viewing films a hectic process to keep up with? It's definitely different. I mean, especially now that we're into awards season, I still get, I'm on the list for all of the invites that come in if you're LA and New York local, and you definitely get so much access to these awards movies. That I think is what's going to be the toughest for me, because the deadlines start coming up at the end of this month to vote on awards show stuff, and I'd say easily 70% of the awards films, they're only showing in New York and Los Angeles. With, last year they were doing digital screener links for a lot because they couldn't have screenings. I do think it's really, I didn't realize the degree to which it is, but like the degree to which so many of the studios only consider critics that are based in New York and Los Angeles to be, I don't want to say important enough, but of a stature enough to accommodate advanced screenings. And I think that, I think that they should really look at that, especially post-COVID, when everybody's realized that you don't necessarily have to be geographically located in all of these hubs to do these kinds of jobs. Because, like the big movies, Mara and I, we either wait to see them the night that they debut, which we're perfectly happy to do. We go, we did it with Shang-Chi, and we did it with Eternals, and there's been a lot of movies that we just go on Thursday night when they do the advanced screenings, and I get the review up, and it works great. And then there's some
Or
I'm
if
getting
we're
on
able
some
to
lists.
go to the early screenings that like AMC has sometimes the week of.
Advanced
like
early
Wednesdays.
screenings. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll take the trip. I've had a few reps now that like they do a screening in Dallas, and I'm like, okay, can I drive in from Little Rock? And they're like, you'll drive 4 hours to see the movie. And like, if that's the option that I have, and I'm happy to do that, because that means at least that I can get my review out. But it is definitely a lot more hectic because there's not many places that want to screen anything in Little Rock because they don't consider it a big enough market. That's why I said earlier, I really respect Netflix for the fact that they understand that there are critics located in regions and markets all across the country. There was an invite that came out to Don't Look Up, which is the new movie with Leo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence and Meryl Streep. I think it's the new David O. Russell film, if I'm not mistaken. I might just be getting names mixed up in my head. But they were doing advanced screenings in like 30 different markets all around the country, because I think they understand that there are critics now that are located everywhere, not just New York and Los Angeles. So it definitely has opened my eyes up to the fact that so many of the studios, particularly the big studios, really only consider relevant New York and Los Angeles for advanced screenings. And I hope that maybe they expand that, even to bigger, to medium-sized markets. But we're also making some great progress in getting on the list for things like Dallas. So for now, if it just means being road warriors and taking the trip a few times a month, that's what we'll do. It's part of the job.
As long as IKEA doesn't just like totally rain on my parade every single time.
We have some notes for the Dallas IKEA. We won't get into them here, but they need to really work on their online version of telling us what's in stock, because they're not so great at that. John Getz says, we know the usual classics, but do you have any more obscure holiday classics you'd like more people to see? I only heard of Don Bluth's The Small One and the anime film Tokyo Godfathers recently, so watching those for the first time. I don't know. I'm kind of basic when it comes to Christmas movies, if I'm being honest. I don't go deep dives into a lot of stuff. Yeah, I don't. I'm always looking for a good a Christmas movie. The Nice Guys. Just it's a Shane Black movie and it's set at Christmas. It's not really so much a Christmas movie, but it's at Christmas. And then Santa Claus the movie, which is one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen, which stars David Huddleston, who's the Big Lebowski, not Jeff Bridges, but the actual Big Lebowski in the Big Lebowski, and John Lithgow as a tycoon and Dudley Moore as an elf that makes candy canes that make you fly when you eat them. Sponsored by Coke. That's a pretty crazy movie. Two kinds of Coke, honestly. If we're being honest, it was probably two different kinds of Coke. On screen, Coca-Cola. Off screen, It was the 80s. Who knows? Plum Kettle, no question, just to show support for your hard work. Thank you, Plum. That is very, very generous. I appreciate that. Sakaki Chronos says, Dan, do you think Coco Melon will be able to be in the top 10 on Netflix for 52 non-consecutive weeks? What will you do if that does end up happening? Well, I hate to break it to you, but the streak was actually broken this past week.
They said non-consecutive.
Look at charts. Oh, non-consecutive? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Non-consecutive weeks. Oh, definitely. Although teaser for charts upcoming this week, Netflix has changed, and I actually love this. They've changed their metrics for their top 10. It's gone from how many people watch 2 minutes of a thing to total hours watched. And you can break it down by like global, by country, by TV, by movie, by English speaking movie, non-English speaking movie. And it's all on a website that you can just go to. So that website is actually, I bookmarked it because that's what I'm going to start using on charts. It's called top10netflix.com. I love it. As a data nerd, I'm so excited for this because now it's like, do you want to know what the top 10 films in the UK that people are watching on Netflix and TV shows? I'm like, sure. And they'll just show it to me. So I'll also be changing how I report those numbers because Netflix has changed how they measure them. I'm excited to start doing that on charts this week. And so we'll get into that. Let's see. Kingsport Cal says, I recently watched Grosse Point Blank and High Fidelity. Y'all's thought on these films and John Cusack's career. He is one of my favorite actors. High Fidelity, I think, is great. Great early Jack Black. Bruce Springsteen's in it. That can never make anything worse. Grosse Point Blank's one of those movies I keep hearing I need to see but haven't seen. Have you seen either one of those, hon?
I've seen neither of them.
John Cusack is great, though. I love him in Say Anything. I love him in a lot of different movies, but he's great in Say Anything. Bri says, hey, Dan and Mara, concerning superhero movies, can you name some actors or actresses that you never want to see in a comic book movie, and also someone you'd like to see suit up that hasn't yet? Thanks so much. It's weird. I feel like if I name somebody, they're going to be like, oh, no, they were in this one, because it seems like almost everybody has been.
Well, I mean, I feel like I know someone who never will. Daniel Day-Lewis. He's never going to do it. And I'm fine with that. I don't need him to do it.
Yeah, I'm okay. I don't think we need a world where Daniel Day-Lewis like moves to Antarctica for 6 months to play Superman and like walks around on the cape and is like, you must call me Cal. And you know, makes everyone call him Superman. Like I don't think Daniel Day-Lewis could survive like the method acting required to be in a comic book movie. So yes, for his own well-being, I'll say I don't want to see Daniel Day-Lewis. Someone I'd like to see suit up that hasn't yet. I mean, what kind of superhero would Timothée Chalamet play?
Oh, he'll play somebody. Just give him time.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think what superhero he could convincingly play.
He doesn't have to be a hero. He can be a villain.
Yeah. Sheer curiosity, though, I'd like to see.
Ben suggested Beast Boy. That would actually be really cool.
Beast Boy? Yeah, okay. I can see that. I'm just curious to see what he would do with it. He's small. He's very small. He's a wee.
He may not always be small.
I mean, time's running out. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna have to
happen. He's like 25
soon.
Years old.
I just mean, like, you know, it's not like he's 14. It's like he's 25.
No,
like,
I mean, but like,
who he's gonna be.
No, like gym. Go to the gym. He could bulk up if he wanted to.
See, that sounds terrifying, though. This is what I mean. Like, I want to see it in whatever form it takes. Like, what would Timothée Chalamet do to play a superhero? I don't know. Karen Stepko, thank you, Karen. Very generous, says, speaking of a clash of religious baking, my friend, a conservative rabbi, sent me, a Lutheran pastor, a basket of... All right.
I can't wait. No, I'm specifically not reading it.
Hamantasken?
So close. Not quite there.
As a mitzvah during Purim, which for me is mid-Lent. I ate them all. I regret nothing. Okay, Mara, first of all, correct my pronunciation. And secondly, what exactly was Karen sent?
It's Hamantashen. Oh my gosh, that's great.
Okay.
Here, hold on. Let's get a picture for Ben.
As a mitzvah during Purim. Purim. That I know.
Like
I've seen for your consideration. I know it's Purim.
It's almost like a Jewish version of a Linzer cookie. For people that know what a Linzer cookie is, kind of. Just in how it looks.
I don't know what a Linzer cookie is.
Oh my god! Okay. Here, I'm sending Ben a link to something.
This is where my lack of knowledge about Judaism and my lack of knowledge about baking just combines into one ball of ignorance.
There's a photo on that page, Ben. I don't know if I can actually copy the photo over. Oh, never mind. He just did it. Holy crap, he's so fast.
Oh wow. Okay.
They're
know.
Good. Also, that was very, very sweet considering it was mid-Lent.
Yeah.
Because I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, just like I know there's a lot of Jewish holidays that people just don't know that they're happening. We're not always acutely aware per se of all the other things that are happening with other major world religions. So it could have been a total accident. It was very considerate of you to just eat all of it.
Yeah. I mean, it was a mitzvah, which I know that means like a good thing, right? A good deed. Right? Is that what that means?
Are you asking me or are you telling me?
Yes, I'm asking you. Like a mitzvah, that's like a good thing, right?
Yes. Yeah. Like, some people think of it as like it's your responsibility to be a good person and to do good things. Sort of, but yeah, it's something good. Like something you've done for somebody, like not for yourself, but for someone else.
Did Dan say he's never heard of a Linzer cookie? Next up on Mara's Baking Hour. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, so I don't. That's a no. Okay, I think we have a couple more questions. Randy and Susan, thank you. Not sure if you've discussed your recent MTS movie trivia schmodown scene from today's match. We are excited about that. Thanks to both of you for being super dope. Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. That went public today. So if you don't know about the news that happened today on the movie trivia schmodown about an upcoming match, then this is a blanket spoiler alert. You can take out, you can mute or whatever. But spoilers in 3, 2, 1. It was announced today that John Roca's retirement match. Look at that. There we go. The Outlaw John Roca. That was fast.
Ooh, look
versus
at that.
Dangerous Dan Murrell. The Outlaw's last ride. That's a really good poster. So yes, John Roca, the Outlaw, decided that he wanted to take me on for his retirement match. Why he'd want to do that? He wants to go out with a loss. That's fine. He's more than happy to do that. But yeah, you know, that old cowboy decided he wanted to jump back into the ring with this bull one more time. I'm going to quote a great principle: "You mess with the bull, you're going to get the horns." So yeah, that's what he wants to do. If that's how he wants to retire, then
You
he
missed
can
an
feel
easy
free.
pun, hon.
What's that?
If you mess with the goat, you get the horns.
You mess with the goat, you mess with the bull, whatever you want to call yourself or call
Hi,
me.
honey.
It doesn't really matter. Yeah. So John Roca, my former partner, wants to go out on a loss. That's his call. But yes, I will be taking on the Outlaw, John Roca, on the Schmodown Spectacular. You can get your tickets to schmodownlive.com. It's going to be one hell of a match. And, you know, he could have gone with a layup. He could really have chosen anybody. Christian Harloff, Finstock, doesn't matter. But
Mark
he
Ellis
chose
in a
me.
Santa suit.
Mark Ellis in a Santa suit. Could have had that be his last match. But if he wants to choose me,
Hey, buddy.
then he can choose me. So, yeah. Schmodown Spectacular. I will be there. I will be competing live. Never lost at a live match of that scale and size. I've lost at Scum and Villainy, but I've never lost at an event like a Spectacular, Collision, etc. Well, no, I lost at Spectacular last year, but that wasn't like. Anyway, I'm going to caveat this to say it's an undefeated record, Outlaw. So get ready because you're going to have to do more than your best to go out on a win. It's going to be a good time. No one's paying attention to me anyway. They're just looking at the cat. Yeah. So get your tickets, schmodownlive.com. That's going to be a fun match. Maxwell Haddad. Thank you, Max. Oh, so generous. I have nothing to ask or say other than hi. Thank you very much, my friend. Very nice of you. And then I think this is going to be the last question, unless something comes in. Eric Ferris says, Mara, are the Kasha Varnishkis jokes in Seinfeld as hilarious as I think they are, or is it more that I just don't understand what they're joking about? All right, what did I get wrong there?
It's okay. I'm just going to let you have that one. I'm making sure we don't have anything else coming in also beforehand. Honestly, I actually love all of the humor that he's able to bring into Seinfeld, whether obvious or not obvious, whether food related, not food related, whatever, about Jewish stuff, because it was kind of like, honestly, the most big popular thing that had someone of note who brought in their culture to their show at that time for me. So big fan. My personal favorite though is them discussing the difference in like approval, quality, and desirability of chocolate babka versus cinnamon babka. That's one of my favorite things ever.
Okay.
And of course, the black and white cookie, which, as you know, Dan, is like one of my favorite things in the entire planet. And so how he was betrayed by the black and white cookie.
Yes. But which, first of all, Mara introduced me to the wonder, the magic of black and white cookies. That's going to be quite something. Or it is quite something.
I still have to make my own recipe, though. I have a recipe. I just haven't made it yet.
It's funny. Mara and I, we went to New York. We're just going to drive all the viewers away with this story. It's the most boring story ever, but it's true. Mara and I went to New York. And
one of the many times.
One of the many times. We went once, and we realized on our way out, we were like, oh my God, we didn't get any black and white cookies. We got to get some New York black and white cookies. And we just went into a random convenience store, like that sold black and white cookies, and also was just like, you know, had everything else. Like, I didn't even know if you would call it a bodega. It was really just a convenience store that had a bakery counter. And we bought them out. Like, we bought like 6 or 7 black and white cookies.
They didn't believe me when they were like, how many do you want? And I was like, all of them. And I was like, yes, exactly. I want all of them.
Yeah. So we got all of them. We took them home. They were delicious. They were so freaking good. The next time we went back to New York, I won't name which one, but there was a place that we were told, oh, you have to go here because they have the best black and white cookies.
It's one of the places that everyone goes. They just aren't that good at this place. It's just one of the places people go.
Yeah, exactly. But it was just like, you know, we looked around and the consensus was, go here. It's the best cookie in New York. We got them. They were fine. But on the way out, we went back to that same convenience store and bought them out of the black and white cookies because we thought the black and white cookies at this random convenience store in New York were better than the ones at the super famous place. So, Mara, I think that is all of our questions. Oh, no, one more question. Plum Kettle again. Thank you. Very generous. Yes. It just says for Mara, too. Wow. Thank you so much. Very, very generous donation. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out. Mara, we covered a lot of ground today. We talked about Quentin Tarantino and NFTs, QT NFTs. We talked about Kathleen Kennedy. We talked about Andrew Garfield, Doctor Strange, MoviePass, so much. We talked about the fact that John Roca is going to end his career with an embarrassing defeat at the Schmoedown Spectacular, which, again, that's the way he wants to do it. That's the way he wants to do it. That's fine. Thank you, Ben. Much appreciated.
Ben, you're the best.
Yeah, anyway, but everybody that donated, everybody that sent in a question, everybody that watched, thank you so much. If you like what you've seen, please like, share, subscribe, all those fun things, and thank you for joining us. We'll be back next week with another live show. What are we going to talk about? Who knows? It depends on what breaks. One thing we will not be talking about is whatever dummy asks the next big director whether or not they want to direct a superhero movie, because we're done with that. We acknowledged it the one time. Do we have one last question? Sorry, I'm looking at the private chat. Do we have one last question? I already did the wrap up too. That's all right. We're just we want to make sure we get in everybody's questions. So I think we want to make sure that we didn't miss anybody's question.
Are you in the private chat?
Am I? No.
Oh, you should be.
Okay. Oh, okay. We're good. Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you watching. We'll see you next week. Stay tuned. We'll be doing more reviews. We'll have charts coming up next week and any of breaking news. Maybe they'll drop another Spider-Man No Way Home trailer. Who knows between now and then? I wouldn't be shocked. Thanks for watching. Mara, anything you want to say? Anything you want to plug before we go?
I'm going to go eat something downstairs right after we're done with this. So
we are going to go eat something. I think we're both hungry. Yeah. And, of course, as always, massive thanks to Ben in the background, hitting the buttons, putting up the images. Ben, thank you so much. You're awesome. And thank you so much. You're awesome. We will be back next week. Stay safe. Thanks for watching. Bye.